Anyone who is a fan of Italian genre cinema is familiar with Zombie 2, Lucio Fulci's unofficial sequel to George Romero's Dawn of the Dead. Fulci was already hard at work on his gut-munching epic when the producers decided to exploit a loophole in Italian copyright law and just market the film as a sequel to another movie that it had no connection to whatsoever. Zombie 2 was a big hit, and apparently some other Italian film producers were paying close attention because only 1 year after this film's release, we got a much less well-known sequel to a popular American horror film. Enter Alien 2 on Earth, the Italian cash grab sequel to Ridley Scott's landmark classic Alien. As with Zombie 2, the plot of this film doesn't follow its predecessor and instead functions as more of what I would call a conceptual sequel. Writer-director-producer Ciro Ippolito must have thought, aliens that hatch from eggs, implant themselves in a human host, and then emerge from their bodies to wreak havoc? Now that's a neat idea. I'll do that on Earth. As the title tells you, this movie takes place right here on Earth. A NASA spacecraft returns to our planet from space and brings with it some alien eggs that scatter on the surface as the spacecraft re-enters Earth's atmosphere. Some of the eggs are discovered by a team of California spelunkers while they go cave exploring in the desert outside San Diego. One by one, our characters are picked off by the extraterrestrial parasites while they desperately try to escape the cave system and get back to the surface. The concept of a team of cave divers getting tormented by subterranean monsters has a lot more in common with the 2005 horror film The Descent than any Alien movie, and while I doubt that Neil Marshall saw this and was inspired by it, it does act as a wacky Italian prototype for that movie. Ultimately, Alien 2 is a bit of a mixed bag. There is some great stuff in this movie. The special effects are very well done and effective, and you can tell the DP was having a great time composing dynamic shots utilizing the natural darkness of the caves combined with the characters' headlamps. And the underground locations themselves are very eye-catching and unique. I can only assume that they really went down in these caves, since building sets that look this convincing would be very costly and labor-intensive. However, even at just 85 minutes, this movie drags quite a bit. The cave locations make it so that we are trapped in a pretty samey-looking setting for much of the film with only a small group of people to interact with. The caves look awesome, don't get me wrong, but scene after scene in them can get a little tiresome. It would have been nice if there was maybe a subplot about other characters still on the surface we could cut to once in a while. I also suspect that Mr. Ippolito realized perhaps a little too late that he didn't quite have a feature-length film worth of ideas, so we get some pretty pointless scenes at the start which feel like they're mostly just there to pad the runtime. It's a decent watch saved by the elements that are truly fantastic, but misses the mark of being a total recommendation. One last thing that definitely deserves commendation is the excellent soundtrack by Oliver Onions. Oliver Onions is indeed the pseudonym of the DeAngelis brothers who contributed tons of fantastic music to Italian films over the decades. You may recognize some of their music in contemporary films, as popular filmmakers have reused their music in films like Death Proof, Bottle Rocket, and The Strange Color of Your Body's Tears. There was a limited edition American Blu-ray of this film released in 2011, but that's now out of print and seemingly a bit pricey. I have the UK release by 88 Films, which looks great and is easily accessible and has some fun bonus features as well. Let me know what you thought of this one if you check it out, if there's anything else you'd like to hear me review in the future. Thank you for watching, and check out my channel for some other reviews of horror and exploitation films from around the world.